Howdy, everybody. And just wouldn't you know it, the minute I hit the go live button, my internet connection starts to starts to disappear. Welcome to Ham Nuggets. I hope I have enough bandwidth to get to the end of this, but if not, my capable friend Jim will take over for me like he always does. And we have tonight Lon from Lon.tv, KC1RGS. Lon is a relatively new general, and he was interested in playing with Network 105. And I said, I don't know what that is. Let's do a Nuggets episode. So here we are. Success is not guaranteed on Nuggets. We're here to play along together and...
Right, and on the upside, Lon said he
can only stay for about
an hour and a half. So it won't be a 2.5.
Oh, so we might even get out early
tonight. Right, that's what I'm saying. It won't be the D-Star episode.
Right.
And the good news is I've got it working already, so it should be pretty fun. We don't have to do too much configuration. So yeah, it is functional.
All right, so I'm going to turn my radio on. Step one. I know how to do that.
Yes,
turn the radio on. And I'm running a Raspberry Pi 4.
Okay,
and you've got a screen here you wanted to share out.
There we go.
Lon, can you?
That's fine. I can translate
a little bit.
I can try. Give me 1 second here.
You are
my audio
a little low. Yes,
sure.
Sir.
Give me 1 second on that, and we'll get that going.
Or Steve needs to turn his down.
I just get excited. Here with all my friends again.
Right. I know.
I think I'm about as much as I can muster, but let me try one other thing. I've got like a million controls here. It's kind of like my radio. I've got like dials all over the place for different things.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. How are can the viewers hear me okay?
Mike says he's... Yeah, let's sound off in the chat if you can hear Lon. Mike says he's too OM for this. Mike, I can understand. I'm like right on the borderline of that at this age, my advanced age. So... You know, anybody older than me is too old for this, right?
And Jody is asking, do we also mourn the end of ATSC3? I don't know that we should get Lon started on that.
Don't get me going. We'll have an update on my channel soon about that. I can assure you.
I couldn't believe they were doing that.
It's, you know, the
everybody says your audio's good.
Okay. All right.
Except for 45 Auto. We have one outlier that doesn't like it.
Okay, we'll figure it out. If I have got it as much as I can deliver at the moment. I could probably tweak it with some other thing. Okay, I don't know if you guys.
I'm hearing a difference between you and Steve. So he's a lot louder than you, and
I'm down 20 now.
Okay, no one's complaining in the chat, so
you both sound great.
Doc Brad,
that's the best thing.
Thank you. Doc Brad with the $1.99 super chat to start it off tonight. Thank you very much, Don. Congrats on the General Lon. $1.99 for 105. Hit it, Jim. All right.
Hey, can I tell you a little story about my general exam?
Hit it.
Please.
So I was a technician for about a year, and I was kind of studying off and on when I had time. You know how hard it is sometimes to squeeze that in. And I got to the point where I was on ham study, I was getting about 80% most of the time. And you know, the thing that really got me was the fact that there's all of these virtual exams happening like almost every night of the week. So I said, you know what, I'm going to sign up for whatever one is tonight. I'm just going to do it, you know, and I went in and did it.
Smart.
And I failed by one question twice.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was like, I felt like Yoda saying, "You're not ready," right? And I just went for
it.
So Ready you or not. So I spent the next 3 days just like cramming, getting everything memorized, and then I went back and did it and passed it with only one question wrong. So I did much better on the second attempt, and that's what got me in. But you know, one of the things that I think is really convenient, especially for people watching that are thinking about getting into this, or for people that are know people who want to maybe take the technician exam. I think these virtual exams are so quick and easy, because where I live, I have to drive like an hour to get to any of the exams. And I was able to do it in the comfort of my home, and it's not that hard, and it was great. It worked out perfectly. So I'm really glad I did it that way.
Yeah, the second one. Since 2020, the whole online exam thing has really ramped up a lot. initially, I know they were doing it like in a car. You had to drive to the testing site, and everybody sat in their cars, and the proctors wandered the parking lot or something like that. And then Exam Tools, which is part of the Ham Study people, right, Steve? Is that correct?
Yeah, Richard makes it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exam Tools came online, and then a bunch of the VECs jumped on that, and now it's ridiculously easy. There's tons. If you go there, you can find tons of exams scheduled every day. I did my extra test both times. The first time I whiffed it twice in one sitting. Embarrassing.
Yeah, the first go around.
Yeah, I feel your pain. And then the second time was but they were both with Greater Los Angeles, GLARG, Greater Los Angeles Area Radio guys, I guess. I don't know. And, I texted, and T.O. is one of the VEs for them, and a couple other people we know. And I just said, hey, can I do the exam today? Let's roll. And we had it set up, and I did it. And it worked out quite well. But yeah, the whole online thing now is just greased really well.
It's good. I think there's still some benefit if you have a club nearby that does the test. You get to know all the guys and gals there, and you can develop relationships. I think that's always a better way to go. But if you're in a spot where it's not convenient, I think it makes a lot of sense to try the other way, because you can get it done, get your license, and get on the air. And I'm just pulling up one thing here real quick before we get going, because I know you're on a Raspberry Pi there, and I wanted to give you a good reference for some helpful software from one of the creators. Have you guys ever watched KM6LYW?
Yeah, Craig's been on the show before.
Craig.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually has an entire YouTube video about using Network 105 on a Raspberry Pi.
Oh, cool.
And the software, I think it's Linpac.
Not allowed to do homework before the show, though.
Okay, so there you go. So I'm going to show it to you on Windows, because that's how I've been using it. But I think it's cool. Linpac is the package that does this on the Linux side, and I think actually that's what a lot of people are using. And by saying does this, I'm referring to the client side. I have not yet set up my own bulletin board system or node, but we can explain what all that stuff means. So I thought maybe we would just begin, and you guys can just interrupt anytime, and if any chat questions come in, certainly have at it. If you want to pull up my screen here, I can show you what I'm looking at. And it looks like there's a good amount of activity here already, which is great. So I am currently tuned, according to my FL rig here, to 14105 on 20 meters. And this might be a familiar frequency because this is also what you might know for VAR AC as its space frequency on 20 meter, except Network 105 is on the lower sideband, even on 20 meter. So you'll see that I have it set to data L here. So this is on the other side of the band that VAR AC works off of. And what I'm using to interface with Network 105 is essentially a packet software modem. I'm using Sound Modem by UZ7HO, which is a very popular way to access that technology. And this is the same software you would use for APRS on VHF. In fact, we're using AX25 packets, but over HF. So that's our modem. So we're not using VARA or any of the other HF modems. And what's amazing is how much I've learned in the last year. I knew nothing about any of this stuff before I got into this with my license. Now the difference with packet over HF is that you got to run at 300 baud versus 1200 baud. So if you look up here, it might be hard to see. I've got my
I can see it.
Selection here at AX25 300 baud. And
so real quick, Scott's asking a question.
1956.
Yeah, Scott's asking a question. What is Network 105? And Network 105 is AX25 is a lot like TCP/IP, and then I believe it's called Network 105 because it happens on 14.105 or 7.105 or whatever .105.
That's right.
Is that right, Lon?
That's exactly why they call it that. Yep, because it's on 105. And keeping packet alive on Network 105 is their slogan. And if you want to know what we're even talking about, What this basically is, if you think about a packet radio BBS, this is it on HF. And this is the frequency where people that are into packet on HF do it. So there's not like one thing you're connecting to. It's a bunch of people who want to communicate over AX25 on HF. This is where they gather. And some people talk one-on-one and we'll try to initiate a conversation that way. But other folks run bulletin board systems. And there's also something called a node. So let's say you're trying to reach somebody on the other side of the continent and you can't get to them directly. You can connect through a node that you both can reach. So you can connect to that node, you both pop in there, and you can actually connect through that node and communicate. So in almost every fashion, this works exactly as packet radio does on VHF, except we're on HF at a lower speed, if that makes sense.
Lon,
Lee's
Lee,
asking if you can zoom in on that. Yeah.
Let me see if I can
make your text
sure.
bigger or anything.
Let's see. I will try.
Of course, he's also watching on a phone, so.
Yeah, that's going to make it. I will do my best here. I have a zoom function, but that does not appear to work on here. But you know what I could do? I could run it through my other system and kind of pop it through my camera view if that.
That's right, Ken Lewis. DeckNet over X25.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this is all the same stuff from way back when. It's all there.
I installed X25 networks for the state of Alabama back in the middle 90s.
You know what I could do, guys? I can provide you a camera view that it would take me off camera, but I think you'd rather look at this stuff than me. And I can zoom in on different parts of my screen.
Maybe set it up. We'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, it'll be nice and big here. So I'm gonna cut to this. You tell me what it looks like to you. So if you put that up full screen.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's great, Lon.
So then I can explain this way, and then we can kind of work our way through it. So this is basically my software TNC sound modem. Again, this will work on VHF if you're doing APRS and packet. And the Linux equivalent of this would be Direwolf, which also runs on Windows. So I've got it set to 2500 baud. I have this 1700 here set because that's what that's what everyone has theirs set to. And this is, I think, where the software is looking on its waterfall. And I think I can scroll this down a little bit here and show you the waterfall. And I'll show you what some of this other stuff means in a second. So this waterfall is what it's picking up currently on frequency. This is coming off my FT991A over USB. And these arrows here are where it's listening. And if we scroll up a little bit, you'll see there's a lot of activity going on here. And these are all the packets that different stations are sending to each other. So here we have KB9VH-1 communicating with N0AWA14. And they might be having a conversation with each other. It might be one connecting through a node. But you can kind of keep an eye on all the traffic that's going on here. And sometimes this is helpful because if you're first setting it up and you want to know if you found the right place, if you start seeing text popping up here, you know that things are functioning properly. What will also happen here is you'll see that KB9KC is sending out a beacon. And basically, the other piece of software I'm going to show to you in a minute is sending out a packet just to announce that we're listening. In many ways, this is like the beacon you would see on VAR AC or a heartbeat that you would do on JS8 call. And then you can see another one came through here. And this is somebody running Linbpq on Raspberry Pi 4. And this is also where you'd find like other bulletin board systems that you might want to connect to. So really keeping an eye on what's going on in here is pretty helpful. So that is that. And what I'll do here is reset my view just to give you a context of what we're looking at here.
Now you're doing this with the 991A or a different program, a different radio?
Yep, the 991A. So I've got it plugged into,
okay.
Yep, I've got a little mini PC on the other side of it's my ham shack PC as I call it.
Right.
And so what I usually do around the house is I do a lot of digital modes, and what I do is log into it from anywhere I'm at in the house, and I have my little rig control here, FL rig. Have you guys ever played with this?
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
It's really, really fun. So I use this to, if I want to tune, I can hit the old tune button there and get that going. I can adjust my power settings, adjust the frequency that I'm on. I have actually set up presets here too. So I can jump to different things that I'm playing around with. And Network 105 actually runs on 20 meter and 40 meter. So they're on 7104 LSB if you want to try on 40 meter, because we are getting into the evenings. It might work a little better if we're trying to reach each other. So that is how that part works. And then we go over to the other piece of software that I use with this. And this is by far the best packet software that I have played with out of all the different ones that I've messed around with. And this looks a lot like the Linux version that Craig put in his video. And what you'll see here right now is just a big black screen. And this software is called EasyTerm, also by, let me get it zoomed in here for you, also by U7HO. And this connects up with the TNC. And you set that up over here in your station setup, I think. Yes. So you can see what I've got configured here. Now I've got my call sign, but I also have a mailbox, and this is really cool. So hopefully if one of you guys can connect in a little bit, you'll see what this looks like. So the mailbox call sign, basically what happens with Packet is that when you put your dash and the number, you can basically assign yourself almost different ports if you're talking about like a port mapping thing on a router. It's kind of like that function. So if someone tries to connect to KC1RGS, they're going to get me right now, the human. If they connect to KC1RGS-1, the mailbox, which kind of operates in the background, will pick up. And it's kind of like a miniature bulletin board system. So people can leave me messages, and then I can get those messages by clicking on the mailbox here. And you can see I've had people come in and just leave me messages when they saw my beacon. So here's WW6Q, who sent me a note from Northeast Indiana. The longest message I've received was this one from Russia, actually, in Moscow. Isn't that cool? So I left it on overnight on 40 meter one night, and somebody just popped in and left me a note. So it kind of reminds me of my old bulletin board system. And it was funny because I ran that BBS back in like 1991, right when the Soviet Union fell, and suddenly I had people from Russia actually dialing into my my house.
Whoops.
So yeah, it's kind of cool. So this is this is how it works. And of course, the interface that you would get on my mailbox when you're calling is all text. So that's how that works. Now, another thing that the software does here is it keeps a log of every station that it's heard, so you can connect to people. So it basically eavesdrops on the frequency, and every time it picks up a unique call sign, it drops it into the mix here.
Oh, that's sweet.
Isn't that cool? So you can see a list of who's communicating
who else
with
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
that's awesome.
More recent.
I like that.
Isn't that cool? And another thing I would look for, if we jump back to the TNC real quick, is, and here's a good example. So mine, I have it set right now to send my beacon out like every 15 minutes. So you can see what I say here in the red text. So I say, hey, connect to my mailbox and say hello. So I kind of advertise that my system is available for you to connect to and leave me a message. And then because I have mail for these two stations, it also will intermittently send out a note to say, hey, I've got mail for these two. Because there's no internet here. So it's, you have to let people know you've got mail waiting, right? They got to come back to my system in order to pick up that piece of mail. So that's how that works. And I don't know if any of are you guys, I'm assuming, are not running with this yet, right?
Correct.
No, not at all.
So I wonder if any of our viewers who are watching are on Network 105 and may want to try to connect to me.
I know of at least
something.
one, and that is
Yeah,
Wheelan
I saw-
and Wires K0WAV.
Okay, so let me try to connect to him. K0
WAV.
Okay.
Yep, Whiskey Alpha Victor. On
So
14105.
Perfect. So what I'm going to try to do here is connect to him. Now, this is not a bulletin board system. This is strictly a ham-to-ham kind of conversation. And so I'll click on connect here. and my rig will start transmitting. And you'll see that here on the TNC. And oh, it looks like he got me. So here it is. I've sent him a packet. He replied. So I think we are in the process of connecting it. Here we go. So we are connected.
Nice.
And I can just send out a quick note here. I'm going to try to zoom out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Oops. Yeah, this is kind of neat when things actually work, huh?
We're not.
I
used
wouldn't
to
know what
that
that's
long.
like.
We have tackled some things that have been some epic crap fests, you know, with the people love it though.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. It's like the beauty of live TV.
Right.
So it looks like he's got like a little bulletin board system here, because as you can see
He
here,
does.
Or maybe it's confusing. Hang on a second. Maybe the poop storm is about to begin.
So 1 second here before you get too far. Let me give you some background info. K0WAV-1 is the BBS, -7 is the node, and -11 is chat. So you just connected to K0WAV raw,
Okay.
and I guess it's
So I'm
confused.
yes. So let's try to connect on 11, and that will be a little easier. I was actually
Lon,
surprised at how.
We've got a couple of questions too. If you
Sure.
So Chris Bricker's wanting to know, this doesn't look like it would require a lot of CPU. Can he run this on an older Pi? You're running this on a 4 or a 3?
Pi 0
This
would
is
do
on-
this just fine.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Yeah.
all text-based applications. This is not going to be
Exactly.
CPU intensive.
This would run right on a Commodore 64.
Yep. And in fact, it did at one point.
Right?
Well, Lon, take a look at this.
Oh, wait. Look. What is that? Oh, it's like a cartridge.
This is the cartridge for the Commodore 64. I actually got this weekend. This is the user port to 25-pin serial adapter.
That's awesome.
And then, oh, you're going to love this. This is the computer patch interface.
Some
So I
big
have this, and I
iron
have the
packet radio stuff.
I have the PackRat 64. So this is not Commodore 64 specific, this brick, but this brick here makes it Commodore 64 specific with that connector, as you're aware.
The interface to that weird port on the 64.
That's awesome.
The PackRat 64 actually has... Go ahead, Jim.
No, you were still on a roll. Go ahead, finish.
The
I'm sorry.
the PackRat 64 actually has the ribbon cable coming out of the back of it that goes to the cartridge port, I think it is, on the 64. So like that is a, Commodore 64 TNC only. And then Don in the chat has sent me one of these AEA gray boxes that should work on a PC. But this stuff is all 1980s technology.
Yeah, no, it is. And really what we've done is we replaced all that hardware with software. Because our computers now are, even the Pi is powerful enough to do all the modulating and the demodulating and everything else. All right, so now we have reconnected to K0WAV-11, although it's still passing his bulletin board system stuff over to me, I think. Which is weird, right? I'm picking up... Well, you know what we could do? Oh, there we go. Now we're connected to chat. So he's got other stuff running here, which is why we're seeing this. But now it looks like we're connected to chat. And this is like old school bulletin board system, 80s chat stuff. And it's working over HF. Now, I'm not sure where K0WAV is located. I don't know if you all know.
Michigan, Minnesota. Sorry, 0 is a Minnesota call.
Okay.
But that's a generic region.
We've got a really good connection here because it usually doesn't connect that quickly. So what you're going to see is a lot of activity going back and forth here, because even though like when you think about a modem connection, there's a one-to-one
Arkansas.
Kind of thing. Arkansas. You stay connected all the time. What happens with packet is that you're constantly pinging each other to make sure the other one is still there. And what you're looking at here is me sending this same packet over and over again because it hasn't yet had an acknowledgement to that packet being received. And it's asking me for my name here, so I'm going to type in Lon. Now, if he didn't have all this stuff running, we would be having like just a keyboard to keyboard chat right now. But unlike doing a PSK31 kind of chat, you would have, in this case, you basically send it out as a packet as opposed to each individual character being sent.
So, Lon, one of the guys is asking, is this old school packet or just some new twist on it? I mean, it's
This
packet.
is old school packet.
Yeah, old school packet over HF.
Yeah. Yep. No,
Which
it's
has been
working just
around for quite a while.
Yeah. Yep. It is AX25 300 baud. Like I said, this connection is actually pretty good, even though we're not doing what we thought we were going to do, because I'm getting all his system stuff here. But let's see if we've let's see. So it's 2 stations are connected. Let's try this again here.
And guys, I posted, if you didn't notice it in the chat, I posted the link to the sound modem webpage, and it also has a link for downloading EasyTerm on there as well.
Oh, there we go. Now we're having our chat. So K0WAV replied, says hello from Arkansas. I can say thanks for tuning into the stream. And you'll notice here it's not transmitting this text until I hit enter.
Until you hit go, yeah.
Right. And then it's going to push out that packet. And if we go back to the TNC here, you can see I said thanks for tuning into the stream. And what has to happen next is his station needs to acknowledge receipt of that packet and send back an acknowledgement. If we don't get that, then the TNC is going to keep sending until there isn't an acknowledgement.
And now you're running this on a Pi, and I want to verify that I'm not.
I am.
This is just regular Dr. Pepper. Lon, are you running this on Windows?
Yes, this is on Windows.
Okay.
And this I found to be the easiest way to get it working, just because Sound Modem and EasyTerm are so easy to get things going here. And as you can see, we just he said, hey, thanks for stopping by in 7.3. So I can hit, I think B will get us out of here. All of these, so let me type /H here and get a help list here of different things. Now he's actually got a chat software running on his server that I'm connected to here. And server is actually a big word for what it really is, because it's not as complex as like a server would be for Discord or whatever.
Type /quit if you want to get out.
Okay, good. I'll do that. Thanks. So what I just did is I asked it to send me a list of commands. Now remember, we're going at 300 baud, and there's only so much data that can be sent. Yeah, it'd be sent in each packet, so it takes a while for it to kind of come together here. Which, by the way, makes some of these bulletin board systems really hard to work with, because some of these messages that they're actually sharing messages. There's like a network that interconnects all these bulletin board systems over the internet. So there's all of this like network messaging traffic that are rather large messages that just take forever to display. So you run into this issue here.
That was when the message of the day could have been painful logging on to some of those things.
Exactly.
Right?
And you think about like your typical telephone connection was, you were permanent, you were attached, and it was just a one-to-one communication. You weren't sharing the frequency with anybody. Here, these data batches come out in spurts, and at a very slow speed.
Look at this guy, Arthur.
Arthur, you need to.
The show has all the.
Oh yeah.
You shut up, Arthur. Stop it.
The night is young. The night is
young. One time. Well, no, it wasn't one time. I guess. So
no, it's like
mind.
2 or 3.
4. I don't know. Yeah.
And sometimes you can get your command in even while you're waiting for the stuff to show back up on screen here.
Now, Lon, so you're using a 991A with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question in the chat was not a question, a comment. Ghostman said he sold his 991, but any radio with a sound card interface, with the sound interface, will work with this.
Yep. And if you have like an external sound modem, like like what do they call those things? The
Digi-rigs and
yep.
There's 2 or 3 others. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if
you just need something to make it. Go ahead.
No, so if you're doing FT8.
Yep.
It's the same process. Yep.
Yep.
And now we're just waiting here for everything to catch up. And this unfortunately is life on Network 105. And actually what happens is when you log into these bulletin board systems, you're often sitting there just like with a blank command line, because it takes so long to send the instructions that unless you really need to know what to do, you're not given a lot of instructive help as to where to go.
Now Jackson is asking, or he's saying, if your MCON is on, you will receive other stations while connected. It's best to have it off while connected. It cuts down on the confusion. I don't know
the
what that
and the
means. If you're MCON,
I'll have to look that up. I think I know what he's
Jackson,
talking
you
about.
need to
I guess it's a
elucidate.
monitor connection.
Yeah. Oh, right. So over here is the monitor. So let me talk about what's on the bottom of the screen here.
Okay.
And this convention you will find on the Linux versions too. So you can maintain multiple connections, and each one is going to get its own little tab here at the bottom. And so if anybody who is watching, and actually I welcome anyone who's currently on Network 105 who wants to try to connect to me, if you just do a connection to KC1 RGS, each connection will appear in its own little tab down here. So you can jump back and forth between conversations. And the monitor is going to basically give me everything that the TNC is picking up that's been decoded. So as you can see here, we've got a lot of other traffic popping up on the monitor, I think.
Yeah, MCON is monitor while connected.
Yeah. And so, and I also see some of it here at the bottom also, which I just stick my cursor in here and type away. And I'll just hit the disconnect here to pop off his thing there just to clear the band up.
Jody is asking, he's used sound modem before, but he's asking, are there signal and noise ratio diags or RSSI values or anything to let you know how good of a connection you've got going? A red blinky light?
Not really. Excuse me. Maybe there is that I'm not aware of. But, and this is like, unlike FT8 and a lot of the other ones, here, I'll put my face back up for a second. There's no PSK reporter tracking of this, so you have no idea if you're, how far you're getting out.
Right.
There's no, I don't believe there's any signal report that you can get out of this either. I may be mistaken about that, so maybe somebody can come up with, I'm just looking through here, I don't see that. So a lot of the luxuries
Chris, connections are welcome.
What's that?
I said, Chris, all questions are welcome.
Oh, yeah, we have another guy's asking another question. I was letting you finish.
But I was going to say I forgot what I was saying. But in any event, all the luxuries that you have with modern packet and data communications on HF are not here. This is
so this is like 1984 all over again with radio.
Yeah, and I think for those, and so where I live here in Connecticut, there's actually a pretty active VHF packet community, and it is almost identical in how it executes on HF here as it does on the VHF in my home state here. The difference is that VHF, because you're going over shorter distances and you can run at a higher baud rate, is a little easier to work with, especially when you've got a lot of text and commands popping up on screen. This can, as you all know, can be a little less predictable, but you can go over much longer distances. As you saw just a minute ago, I'm in Connecticut, and we had a very good communication with Arkansas. That's pretty cool, right? So that's something that's kind of fun. Now, if anyone, I don't know if you guys want to try to set up your own system, we could try to do a quick chat here.
So I'm halfway there.
Do it, Stevie.
I have Direwolf configured. Let me get my screen shared out. And I'm going
to do my best to help you here because I have not done the Linux side yet. I'll put myself back up on the screen.
Ham Radio DX has been a member for 28 months. Howdy, Hayden.
Thank
you, brother.
And I told you guys before we popped on, Hayden and I had a successful QSO over FT8 from my house in Connecticut all the way to Australia where he is. Isn't that amazing?
That's very amazing. Connecticut to Australia.
Yeah.
He's a numpty. Hayden was at Dayton, Lon. If you had been at Dayton,
I heard.
You could have hung out with Hayden.
Well, next time I'm going to try to get out to one of those.
We're waiting for you, brother.
I'd love to come out.
So I have Direwolf all configured and I am receiving packets, but now I need the next layer up from Direwolf. And I'll go over the Direwolf config here real quick before we get too deep into it. So this is my Direwolf config, and what I changed was my call to be, I know this is going to shock some people, but my call, I put my call in its place instead of N0CALL. And then I changed the speed to be modem 300 instead of modem 1200, so I'm at the right speed for HF packet. And then I changed PTT to work with my ICOM 705. So I told it to use PTT by rig control for rig definition 3805 and dev TTY ACM 0. I'm not sure if it's ACM 0 or ACM 1 yet because I haven't had anything that's going to push to talk yet. And what else did I change in here, if anything? Oh, a device. Yeah. This is going to be probably the hardest thing to figure out, and it's not even that hard. The A device line is plug HW3,0, and I'll show you how to find that. You do A record -L to list devices, and it is card 3, so that's the first number, device 0, and that's the second number. And then you just take those two numbers, and you stick them on this line for 3,0. And then run direwolf.
And it looks like
and
what
it starts receiving packets.
To me is Linpac is what I think Craig was using in his video.
So I looked for Linpac, but I didn't, what's the spelling?
It's Linpac.
Ah, okay. I looked for a PAK.
And I could drop the link to Craig's video. We were talking about KM6LYW. That's how I learned about Network 105 in the first place.
Yep.
And this video was actually a real,
is.
like, I wanted to do a lot of this on HF, and I was like, I want to get my general now to do that.
Right.
So hopefully when you get this installed, that should get you going. And by the way, if anyone is watching, I'm currently monitoring the band here. So if you do a connection to KC1RGS, you can chat with me right now in private over the air.
Ooh.
On camera.
In private,
On
in
camera,
public.
over the air.
Yeah.
Unencrypted, in the clear, but you can chat with me. So keep it clean.
All right, so Linpac is installed, my call sign. I'm just running it, and it's asking me, because,
Yeah, see
we
what
just do
happens.
things blind here.
Why not?
It's asking me my call sign. I put that in. Enter your BBS call sign with SSID, so KM9G, and just make up an SSID. Scott says, Ham Till It Hurts in the chat says that there is no convention for what these numbers are at this point, so I'm just going to pick 7, because why not? Enter the name of the port to connect.
Chris Bricker's
I don't
asking
know what
about
that
private
is.
chat rooms. No, son, you're confusing that with IRC. So stop it.
That's right. This is IRC for hams, is what this is.
Right.
So they do have some
Say it's either-
conventions. So what they want you to do is your -1 is your mailbox, your -2 is gate, whatever that is, and then -7 would be a node. But you'll be fine.
So gate kind of indicates you can relay messages out over the internet on the backside.
Oh, that's what that is. Yes.
I'm guessing, Lon. I'm not.
That sounds pretty good to me. Gateway, because I would say that to be a gateway, which is
Yeah.
right,
Well, like on
terminology.
Digipeater, if you have that direwolf running and you're an iGate, you're repeating
Yep. that makes
APRS
sense.
messages over the interwebs. Yep. Ken
And I would
Lewis
just
said that is related
So
to
I'm
other
putting-
stations.
I put in 8,000 as the port because my choices in Direwolf are 8,000 for AGW or 8001 for KISS. I
okay.
got to start somewhere, and I can probably fix this later on if it's wrong. And then enter digipeters or press enter when no digipeters are used. I don't know of any digipeters around here, so I'm just going to press enter. Enter the full hierarchical address of KM9G. I don't know what this means.
Yeah, just skip that one too. Yeah, I think that's again some gateway stuff that we're not.
Press
Yeah,
enter.
about.
Nope,
It makes
can't
something up.
pass it.
I just put your website in there.
Okay, I think that's somebody
I don't think it'll
outside.
break anything.
I just heard somebody use
Outside
a
your
leaf blower. Yeah.
Outside your trailer.
And I'm like,
This hour?
oh crap! What just happened?
The FBI found
Which-
you.
Yeah, right.
Right. Please wait a moment for creating your personal config. Cannot create. Why would you even try to create that? Installation done. Press enter to run Linpac. And there is no Etsy AX25 ports.
Oh yeah, I think you may have to install AX25 on your Pi also.
Well, there's a bunch of AX25 stuff, and this terminal is now locked, so we'll close that.
Yeah.
Kill it. We'll start another one.
And that's one of the things I love about Craig's thing is that he's got like this self-contained web-based digital multi-digital mode system for Raspberry Pis that works exceptionally well, because you basically pop into your Pi with a web browser, and if you have everything configured properly, it just switches the radio. You got FT8 that you can access through the web browser. It's pretty cool.
So when you said his call sign and his name, it did not ring a bell with me, and I went and looked at the link you posted in the chat here, and I subscribed to that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that guy. Okay. I'm way behind on watching his videos.
I am installing all the AX25 things because why not? I don't know which one it is I need, but if they're all on there, then they're all on there.
And now you see why I went with the Windows direction, because it was just easier to get that start. I'm an instant gratification guy. I want this thing working. So
well, you can hate on Windows all you want, but I'm sorry, COM ports alone make Windows a good thing, because you don't have to dev TTY XXX and which X is capitalized and which one is it.
Right.
Because it sometimes has no mapping to the real world. Yeah.
All right, let's try Linpac again. Isn't that what we did last time?
Ham Radio DX, old Hayden said, and he's right, Ham Radio loves Windows. Joe Brett, EXE for the win. Correctamundo, sir.
Although, one thing I will say is that the Raspberry Pi was almost made for ham radio, just given it's the right amount of processing power with the minimal amount of electrical power necessary, and it's amazing what you can do with them.
Well, I'm gonna have to go back and watch Craig's videos on this. I did not watch these. This is kind of interesting. This is way more interesting than I had thought.
And his video is really good on this, because I think it first of all shows off what he's put together, because he's got it all just like pre-configured. You just boot it up and go. And
all the integration.
And I want to say in the video that let me send you this other video here. I think I had the wrong one before. Maybe I put this right one in here. Yeah, I gave you the right one. I think he sets you up from start to finish on this one. Let's see. Oh no, he's got it running on his DigiPi thing. Yeah, so Craig has a thing called DigiPi, and when you install that on your Pi and you configure it with your radio, it just does everything for you, and you can just pop in over a web browser.
Okay.
And that's what I like about his thing. Now I'm sorry, go ahead.
This looks a lot like what you were looking at earlier. I've got the 8 connections down below. I've got unknown port names, so we've got it configured wrong, but it's already halfway there.
Yeah. Now I don't know what the command is to connect on there.
I don't know how to.
Oh, you type in connect.
I don't know how to quit.
So if you type in connect, let's see, is your radio going?
It's not connected to Direwolf. So I had to try that other port as soon as I figured out how to quit.
Right.
Control C.
No, Control C doesn't work.
Oh, that sucks.
Try Alt X.
So I can do this. Alt X.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't. That was it. Alt X. Good job, Lon.
That wasn't me. It was Bard. That was the Google.
Good job, Bard.
The Google AI. The Google AI.
How do I quit
I got
Linpac?
on the beta
Alt
for
X.
that. It's great. Yeah.
Nice. So I'm looking for the config file now.
We could
Screen,
ask.
void, station data, monitor, error log, log bin.
I will ask ChatGPT. Maybe it can help us. I found ChatGPT as a pretty extensive knowledge of ham radio topics.
I've used it to rewrite stuff at work. I write it in Jim speak and then I run it through Chat GPT.
Yeah,
And
it just
man,
does it.
yeah, I'm like, oh, that said that way better with more words than I could have. That's great. We just had to do employee reviews, and I ran all my direct reports through Chat GPT and prettied up the review.
And what did it say?
It said the same thing. It just said it in less words, more succinctly, and whatever.
Right.
Because I would paste in a block of chat. I have not extensively played with it a lot, and I would just paste in a block of text out of the specific section, and I would say, rewrite this to be more succinct and to the point, or something like that, and it would rearrange everything. And the man did not complain about it. So
I will put in the chat.
So it's not running. Sean, KJ5BYD, thank you very much for joining the YouTube channel, Sean. You have to send me a message if you're on the Discord. If not, the Discord is linked at the top of the chat over there. We have a private members-only room, and I will get you added to that. That's one of the benefits of being a member, is getting in that members-only room. And if you would like to be a member, there is a join button right at the bottom of your video screen there.
Free champagne.
Thank you, Sean.
In the members-only room, too.
Send you guys in the private chat. I have a link to my conversation with ChatGPT, and it looks like it's pretty legit as far as how to get this thing attached.
All right, I'm pasting that in a public chat for everybody. Because that was public, right?
Yep, that's public.
It is now.
Yeah.
Oops.
As far as I know, there's nothing private in that chat.
Wow.
Your social security number.
So I never would have thought of asking ChatGPT stuff like this technical.
It's crazy, like what it knows, and most of the time,
Randall,
it's actually pretty right.
Randall's asking, is this mode just another fun challenge, or does it have a particular benefit over, for example, VAR AC? Is Packet more bulletproof? It should have a whole bunch of error correction stuff, and you can run it at different speeds on different bands. So 300 on HF, 1200 on 2 meters, 9600 on 2 meters, I think, and on 70 centimeters for sure. So...
Yeah, and I would say, compared to VAR AC, VAR AC is using much more modern software and tools. So in many ways, it's very similar to VAR AC. And what I like about it is just the bulletin board concept, right? And the fact that it keeps, I think, packet skills pretty sharp, which is good on any band.
I think the good part about Packet is that it's a one-to-many communication. So like SSB phone, for example, it's a one-on-one, or it's a one broadcast, and you don't know if anybody else got it. But it's a way to send a message that then somebody else can take and repeat, and then somebody else can take and repeat and repeat and repeat, or multiple people can receive the same message at the same time without you having to repeat yourself. Like tune in at 7 p.m. Central to get my packet transmission, and it'll be there. Or you can do a store and forward, like tune in to get my email, and it'll be in the BBS node. So there's it is what you make of it, And
I see there's a question there about the PTT. Yes, let me go. I'll give you my screen again here, and I will try to figure that out. Let's go. So the PTT is going to be in sound modem, and let me go and look at what I've got configured here. Because I know there's somewhere there is a COM port setting for your PTT, unless you're okay.
Yep,
so
at the bottom.
Yeah, on the bottom here under settings. Now, if I know when I'm using the thing on my HT, I don't enable this because it does a it basically enables once the audio goes out through the USB cable. So it'll vary. Your mileage will vary basically. But for my 991A,
good job, Jim.
It's COM4, and it fires off that way. Hopefully that answers the question. And you'll also notice here.
So go.
That I'm sorry. Go ahead. Somebody is logging into my mailbox right now, so they're trying to send me a message.
That's N8YO. That's our friend Mike.
Oh, cool.
So in your EasyTerm config, you tell it to use port 8000 or port 8100.
Oh, on my EasyTerm, let me see. Let me close out of here real quick. So in here, if I go to settings, so right now we're back in EasyTerm now, and I have it on port 8000.
8,000. See, that's what I had. Maybe it's just the way you're configured on your sound modem side.
Yeah, let me see where my sound. So if I go back to my sound modem, so we can see those settings in here. Let's see, I think it's in one of these two things. You know, what happens is I set this stuff up. Maybe it's because I'm getting old. I just forget stuff now. When I was younger, I could remember every setting that I made and like why it's this. And now I'm like, I don't know what to do with that I just did. Then it works for a while and I forget about it.
And to be fair, Lon, this is a little tiny bit complex getting all these pieces interop. You know.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of moving parts to it. And I don't even understand half of it. I just kind of know when it works. It's kind of where I've been with it. But it looks like, I don't know if you're trying to do KISS or AGWPE, but my AGWPE is 8000 and my KISS port is 8100. So you may want to try 8100 if your KISS is set to that.
Yeah, I have both choices. AGW on my side is 8000, KISS is 8001.
Okay.
8100 is what is okay.
Yeah, so I would try
just the way it's a config file.
Yeah, and I think it's also a matter of what Linpac wants to use. So EasyTerm is using AGWPE.
Right. Ham Till It Hurts just said that in the chat. AGWPE for EasyTerm to sound modem, Steve.
Okay.
But Linpac may use KISS, I'm not sure. But if you think about back in the 80s, what it cost, right? Like you had to have the hardware TNC. You needed all this stuff that all hooked up and you know, like you were showing earlier with that Commodore cartridge for the port and the big TNC thing and the radio and the power supply. And you know, now you got a Raspberry Pi. You can even run it. You know what Craig demos on his videos is running it off a Pi Zero, like a $10 computer. It does all of it.
Right.
It's amazing.
I was thinking that the Pi 400 would be a good thing for this too.
Yes.
With the keyboard and all that, and all you have to do is throw a monitor on it occasionally. And
as a matter of fact, I've got one over there. Yep.
Yeah, I've got a couple of them without a purpose right now. So that's why I'm kind of thinking in my head it's going to happen.
Ghostman DKA is asking, do we use preset for the FTDX10 like we do for FT8? I would suggest that you do. And if it doesn't work, then I'd suggest that you figure out why it didn't work. But it will set all your data configuration up and turn off a lot of features in the FTDX and that you want turned off for data work. Data, you want no filtering, no noise reduction, no nothing.
Correct. No noise blanker. You want 3K bandwidth, yada, yada, yada.
Hey, I got a message here. I'll put it up on screen for everybody from our friend.
Let me switch back to that view.
Yeah.
So there we go.
On my mailbox here, N8YO just popped in and left me a nice note here. Thanks for being on Nuggets and covering Network 105. Brings me back to my childhood when I was just starting out with Packet in the mid-90s, 73. Pretty cool.
That is the nicest I've ever seen Mike talk to anybody.
I'm all about the positivity. We're going to bring the positivity. Then I can go in here. What's cool about this, I don't have to log into the terminal screen to participate. So because I am the sysop here of my own mailbox, I can hit reply here and say, thanks for the nice note. And I'll save this. And so now if he comes back onto my mailbox, he's going to see that he has mail.
Way to go.
Yeah. Isn't that cool though? It's kind of fun when you step away for a few minutes, you come back and you got mail. It's kind of like you know, back in the old days, it was neat to have somebody sending you something. It was cool. When I was a kid in high school, this is right before the internet really took off. We didn't have internet at the school, but we had through AT&T, they had this thing where they ran this network that you would dial into on a modem. It was a 1200, I still remember this, it was an Apple IIe with a 1200 baud telephone modem. And you would connect through their servers with a school somewhere else in the world. So we got paired up with the school in Germany. And every day or two, we would log in, get the messages from the school, send them messages, and then log out, right? It kind of reminds me of this whole process. It was, long distance communications in a store and forward kind of environment.
It's telling me that it's not getting that port, but that port is up and running. And see, I saw Mike's messages to you go over the air.
Right. Oh, good. So if you're able to get this working, we'll be able to communicate.
Yeah, and they're decoding, so it's a problem with Linpac.
And where are you right now?
Texas.
In Texas. I mean, don't you think this is cool that with no internet, we're very routinely here sending communications digitally to each other in whatever text we want over this distance. And I am only, if I look at my power setting here, I'm only at 30 watts right now.
Right, and Mike is in Michigan, by the way.
Yeah.
So you in Connecticut and me in Michigan are both hearing Mike.
So it's probably easily 1,200 miles between you and Mike, and probably more like 1,400 between you and Lon. 1,500.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is at
And
night.
Lon,
So
it looks it looks like he has logged in and checked his mail, so he might have sent you a reply.
Oh, let's take a look. He might still be in there.
Now you're using EasyTerm just as a serial terminal, as a telnet client?
So this is specifically a packet client.
Okay. So it's doing some magic.
It's doing some magic. I'm not sure what magic it is doing, but it is definitely doing some magic. And this is, again, the same software that I use when I'm connecting to the local packet BBSs around here, too.
Okay.
And we have one that I connect to through a node. So I connect to the node, and then I have it connect me to the BBS that I want to chat with.
Okay.
I think, and I'd love to hear some thoughts on people watching. I really feel like packet BBSs need an overhaul to some degree, because when I log into them, there's so much of this network communication that gets transited over the internet. It doesn't feel like, I mean, I realize it's all like originating on RF, but it's hard to find the locality of the communications. So one of the things that I would love to do at some point is set up, like my little mailbox here on EasyTerm is kind of the start of that, which is like a little local mailbox that is just people communicating through my system only. You know, and I think, I don't want to discount where the packet community is going, because they really do want, and I think there's a good reason for this. They want to have a network of interconnected BBSs so that you can send a message on one bulletin board system and have it find its way across the country to somebody else. I think that's great. But I also feel like there's some value to the local component. And whenever I log into my local BBS, I'm seeing the same messages that I see on these HF ones. You know, I kind of want to have like something a little more interpersonal, or a little bit more local, if you will. And that's one of the things I think would be great if we saw more software development.
You have a 2-meter packet community out there with you?
I'm sorry, I lost you.
You are?
I lost you for a second there.
So you have a 2-meter packet community going on in your area?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we have a pretty active.
That's cool.
It's actually a really active community. Let me see if I can find the link here. It's called EastNet Packet. If I can find it. Yeah, EastNet Packet Radio Group. They've got their website here, which I will put in the chat, and you guys can share out with the rest of the community here. And so it's mostly on the East Coast of the US, but they've been really busy trying to get more of these packet BBSs going. And they've got some really neat maps which show you all the interconnections that they've been able to set up. So a lot of these communications are, completely RF. They've got gateways that go from VHF to HF. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that they've put together here to make this happen.
Unknown port 8001.
But a lot of the software is really old. LinBPQ, I think, is what most people are using. And of course, it's been ported over to modern Linuxes. But it's based off some very old code. And it's EasyTerm
is kind of elderly. from looking on the web page here.
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, because packets kind of, it's kind of fallen. APRS is certainly what most people do with packet these days, right?
Right.
And so there's a whole bunch of different software for that, but I think it's just something that needs to
so it's
stay,
telling me
right?
unknown port.
Huh.
Unknown port 8000.
Well, it doesn't matter if I change it to 8000 or 8001. Those are the two ports that Direwolf is set up for.
Right. And that's what it's listening on.
It just tells me unknown port. Like it's not even trying.
So let me ask ChatGPT.
Do a.
Let's see. So it says,
Can you do a
unknown
netstat
port.
-I, Steve, and see, or -A, and see what ports are active?
Yeah.
I look at that and I'm like, it thinks that the port's not turned on, so nothing's listening.
Yep. So 8001 and 8000 are both on Direwolf, and then the rest of this is not relevant. Printing and SSH.
Yeah. So the ports are hot and they're listening. So Direwolf has got the port exclusively or something.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's an inbound port though.
Do you have
port name?
Or 10,000.
Yeah. So Linpac suggests that, or our AI bot suggests that you check your port permissions.
Mm-hmm.
And you might need to do a chmod on that. So if you go into that link that I provided earlier on the ChatGPT, it has updated with some troubleshooting tips here for.
Well, I did it as root, and it won't let me connect to that port either.
Oh, really? Huh. Well, then that's not your problem.
You guys hexed us in the chat.
Going
Let me
too
get
well.
this. Let me get this ChatGPT thing open.
I don't know if it added it to the bottom or not. Let's see.
James, why did we can do it?
Just type in Linpac and run it.
Oh, let me reset this and send another one here. There we go.
That's
and then it reset my screen when you did that. Let me get back to my.
Yeah, I got
the link automatically updated.
Oh, it did it? Oh, cool. So it's got the new data. Perfect.
Well, you said let me do something, and then my screen refreshed.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I'll just send an updated one just in case.
So ChatGPT is having me create a config file that was not created before.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a couple of suggestions in the chat too, and they're both on point, but you guys are kind of on a roll, so.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the other thing to look for on the configuration is to make sure you have the speed set at 300 and not 1200.
Yes. TNC port is 8001. Yeah.
By the way,
no, I'm letting Steve do this because someone has to keep up with the chat. If we both have our heads three eyeballs deep in monitors and screens, then no one will interact with y'all. I'm the sidekick. Steve is the talent here, man. I'm just,
Right.
But this
so
is
it wants me to run Direwolf differently. Yeah, I love it.
Now, Chris Bricker just hit on something, Lon, that I don't know if you thought of. You get ChatGPT to write a script to install it for you.
That's a great idea.
Well, that's kind of what I thought. I saw that.
Tempkiss TNC.
Let me see. Can you write me a script to install and configure?
Nope.
Both and Linpac.
Okay.
we could connect.
Can you try and telnet localhost on 8000 or 8001
Yeah,
to
give me
see
one
if they're
second.
even answering? Yep.
Nope, I can't do it. Telnet's not installed.
Or Nmap.
Let's
I'd install
Telnet.
Nmap.
Yeah.
Either one. And it's connecting, so 8001 is answering, and you're talking to it.
Yeah, it's giving me positive feedback that the commands I'm typing are useless.
Well,
So it's working.
we call that the problem is leaving the firewall just fine. That's what I tell the IT department when they come up with some random thing that the firewall's doing.
That's very weird. Neither of these are really working.
That's right. I thought Jody's comment was funny. Official social media moderator and interactor. Then Jeff popped up with, I am T.O. Sherman.
Nice.
So he's
You're
Mr.
running,
Peabody?
Right.
You're running Direwolf with this the -P flag, is that correct?
I am now, yes.
Okay. That was one other thing that it pointed out.
I was going to do this kiss attach thing. W12K. Is this W12K? No, it's going to be W3K. All right, let's do this kiss attach thing. It's dev slash, I don't know if it's a dev. Kiss TNC, W3K. Oh. KM9 and G-7. Oh, but you're in there. I know you can find it.
But I am seeing that N8YO is talking to K0WAV, so we're having some community discussions on Network 105, which is great.
Mike and Scott chatting. Mike and Scott cotting. English, second language.
And they could be in the YouTube chat, but instead they're over RF. See that? So that was the whole point for tonight, was to get it off the internet.
Yeah, you guys are farther ahead than I am. Must be Windows.
Yeah, yep. It's all probably less secure, which is why it's working better for me than it is for you.
Did you get ChatGPT to script you on?
I did, but the script didn't look all that helpful.
Okay.
Because it just creates like this, the Linpac CFG file, which is port 1, speed 300, TNC type KISS, TNC port /temp /KISS TNC.
Marvin says he's seeing traffic in sound modem, but cannot seem to connect.
Yeah, so I think if he's going to probably want to check and see if EasyTerm is communicating with sound modem.
So you do that and you give me permission denied. You can't open that. Why can't you open it? It's still running.
So is that a link to a symbolic link to a real port? The temp.
So when you run direwolf-p, it creates that virtual device. Let me go back to my direwolf screen, and we'll kill it. Direwolf-p, and right here, virtual kiss TNC created symlink /temp kiss TNC to dev PTS2. So it's a symlink to an actual virtual port.
And what's your perms look like on temp kiss TNC? I mean, I don't know. Short of the port's not open, I don't know why it wouldn't be connecting.
Everybody can read, write, and execute.
Well, damn it.
And read and write by me. So I technically own that port.
Okay.
So I can read and write that port that I own.
Right. Yeah.
We'll give it another
So
shot.
let's do this. Error setting, discipline, operation operator. You shoot, and this is where it's asking me about kernel modules.
Yeah. Chaz has a good point here.
Which is?
LSOF-I 8000 to see what's using that port. If anything's got it.
LSOF-I?
LSOF-I colon 8000.
Colon.
Yeah, you got to have a healthy colon, son.
So Direwolf is creating that, and it's
Okay.
listening. Yep. So I'm looking at a document online, and I will drop this in the chat because I'm cool like that. This is the website that I'm looking at.
Dan's saying the error is an open error, meaning the other program has that PTS open already. So something else is locking the board up and using it.
How about this? When in doubt, reboot.
Right.
Yeah,
I have to start all over again if I reboot.
Yeah. Oh, it's not going to retain any of your configuration?
It shouldn't. So that's the document that I'm looking at now, and it's giving me a bunch of stuff, and we're like halfway through all of that anyway. I installed Linpac from the repository, from apt repository, so I shouldn't need to do a lot of this stuff. User bin listen. There is no user bin listen.
Oh, ChatGPT has another idea. Just for a testing, manually test the pseudo terminal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it in the chat window here. I don't know if you tried that yet or not.
Oh, yeah, throw test out to the device. I really thought
this
this
is where
wasn't
I'm
going to be a
stuck.
D-Star stream.
Oh,
And
who
it
knows?
also
Lon got it working.
Yeah, true.
Of course, I was on Windows.
Right. I wasn't going to say that, but
That's no fun, though.
And it also suggested using an absolute path for the TNC port versus just the. So have a you start it with the slash.
So it didn't complain. And that should have shown up over here. No? Nope. But it didn't complain either way.
that's Direwolf, right? The white
Yeah.
the white background screen?
Yeah.
Should have showed up in
Yes.
Direwolf, yes.
Is that what it said when you do the echo line?
Well, isn't Direwolf listening? Direwolf should have at least complained about getting, what the heck is this? Since it's not formatted,
Should have. So, Lon, you're seeing this tilde slash dot linpac slash linpac dot config, and I have that file, but you're the first person, and ChatGPT is the first person that said that. But it's there. TNC port slash temp kiss TNC speed 300 port 1.
Yeah, it looks right.
Lon Marvin's asking, how does he know if the two programs are talking to each other?
So what'll happen when you boot up EasyTerm is that if it doesn't make a successful connection to sound modem, it'll kick out on you.
Okay.
So it'll tell you that it can't connect to the TNC. And the best way the best thing you could do is if you want to switch back to my screen, I'll show you what I'm looking at here. The best thing you can do is go over to the monitor, and you should see stuff popping in here from the TNC. So you can see as the TNC is updating here, we're getting the monitor updating also.
Right. And
that'll give you a good indicator that you've got a successful connection between the two. And what's interesting is this is really the same process that we're going through that of course Steve is going through on the other end there. I've got my TNC, the local host, the port, and so this is listening on local host on port 8000, and that's what EasyTerm's connecting to when it first gets going. And what's also good about this configuration is that the software is written by the same author, both the TNC, right? So there's UZ7HO, he wrote the TNC, and he also wrote the terminal. So it's much more tightly integrated. Because part of me just wants to have everything running off of my Raspberry Pi, but every time I go into one of these projects, like the outcome is what you guys are experiencing right now. It's just it never works right. Partly because I've always been more of a Windows guy. The other problem for me is that I need instant gratification, and I just understand the process of what's connecting on Windows more, I think, than I do elsewhere. One thing it could be on Windows, if you're having trouble, is to check the Windows firewall. That might be restricting communication between the apps, but generally it just connects right up.
So Animosity said run modinfo mkiss, and I get information back that tells me that it is actually there. It says in tree equals yes, and tells me all kinds of stuff about what it is. That's what's on my screen right now. I did change something else in my Linpac macro init macro to change it to port 1. And port 1 is what matches in the .linpac config file. Nope, sorry, port 1. And then in Etsy AX25 AX ports, I created a port 1 here also. So port 1, I put my call sign in wrong.
Well, there's your problem.
Probably is.
While you're doing that,
but I'm still faster.
We have a new member.
Ooh.
Jim KB8N has joined a membership. Thank you, Jim. Jimbo.
That is Airwaves.
Go ahead.
That's Airwaves GPS Jim. He's the guy that helped us out at Montesano doing the mobile installs.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Well, yeah, you guys did that after I left. So, Jim, this one's for you. Appreciate
Thank you, Jim.
And
okay. Go ahead.
Ham Radio Wilderness Frank wants to see Lon's sound modem settings one more time.
Sure. Happy to oblige. So I'll go into the first. There's two sets of settings. There's devices. So, and this will be obviously unique to your situation, but I've got these are my the audio settings for my 991A.
Yep. Your USB audio settings. You're right.
Yep. And again, sound modem has two different server ports that it can listen on because it has two different protocols that it works through. So one is AGWPE, which is what sound modem is connected to right now. And then there's also KISS available on port 8100. You can set this to whatever you want. And then for my 991A's PTT command, it goes over COM4.
Perfect.
And then there's one other setting, which is the device. That's devices. So that was devices. And then there's also modems. And so the software can actually be configured to provide two virtual modems. And in some applications, I think for some satellite stuff, people have different, you can listen to two portions of the band separately and pull in 2 distinct streams of data. For this, you just need the one. But so I've just got modem A activated. I don't even know how to get modem B working. And you can see what I have it set to right now.
Did you have to fiddle with audio levels at all when you were setting that up, Lon?
I didn't, primarily because the 991A is very cooperative in that regard. But
okay,
it's possible, depending on the radio, you might need to make some adjustments.
Right. Because I find that gets a lot of people in the digital mode stuff.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
On WSJTX, because they'll have it cranked up to 11 and
yep, just overmodulates.
Right.
Yep. That's a question on the test, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you fix? And then the other most, for this purpose, the other really important setting is this one, which is the baud rate. So normally, if you are on your local packet situation, you're going to be at 1200 baud. But for this, we need to be at 300 baud.
At 300.
So when I switch over, when I go back and start playing around in VHF, I go back. I have to make sure I remember to go here and set it to 1200 for the VHF activities.
All right, so they wanted lsmod to see if the kernel module was installed. So I ran that, and MKISS is running. So that's there. So now when I do linpac-m, I get a new message that I didn't get before, which is this Alt-X to exit. Remember where I was asking how to exit because it wasn't obvious?
Right.
Now it something has worked and it's obvious. And before at the bottom of the screen, it used to complain. But if I do :C to connect, K0WAV-7, it says AX250 cannot connect, no route to host. So somewhere I have to configure a route to the host. And I don't know where to configure that.
So you should be using localhost with this. So 127.0.0.1 for your IP addressing.
Right. Where do I put that was the question.
Yeah. Has it got a command to set an interface and you're not using, are you on Wi-Fi with that or Ethernet?
No, I mean, what config file do I edit and what is the line to put in? I'm on the machine itself, so I can type in localhost, telnet.
Right. Yeah.
localhost.
No, I know, but so the config line is what I'm asking is in one of those configs, is there something about tying it to a specific interface or what?
No, the closest thing that we have is this Linpac config, and this is telling you to use the port temp kiss TNC. So I can change that to be, let's see, localhost :8001.
Yep. That's where I was going.
Let's do that. And let's do :C, K0WAV-7. No route to host. So it did not receive that config message. Not that it's the wrong, because it didn't say
IO.
Yeah. Let me get that turned back the way it was.
Yeah, Tim, this isn't really a routing issue. He just doesn't have an IP address in there for localhost because he's all on his same machine. There's no route involved.
So I can send you what our AI is telling us on this one if you want to see the text.
Sure.
Yeah, let me wait for it to finish generating.
It knows more than we do.
It sure does. It seems to have a good idea.
It knows what all of us know.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, I'm going to update. Once this is done updating, it'll be at the bottom. Let's give it a second here.
No route to host really indicates it's trying to go somewhere.
Yeah, our AI friend thinks it's something to do with the AX25 configuration, that it's routing to the wrong. It's like getting lost in the route.
We didn't make one.
Well, there's your problem.
Okay, so I'm going to update that link.
Oh, I spelled it wrong.
If you look on the bottom of the chat GPT there, it'll give you an update. Isn't this cool that you can actually preserve the entire conversation?
Right?
Yeah.
Then you can share it.
and then stop refreshing. Oh, geez, there's a lot of stuff down there.
Yeah, I've been
so
talking to it for.
We've done some of this already.
I did the AX25 ports. Let's see, AX25 status -A. Is that what it was called? AX25 status.
You have to install it.
Maybe. I installed everything.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
because I had to install it. It's not there. Let's do... AX25 status. Not installable.
Okay. Sometimes it doesn't exist, and ChatGPT just makes it up. It hallucinates.
Okay.
That happens a lot, believe it or not. Because when you think about it, it chats based on these patterns of communication, and sometimes it's whatever it's doing, it melds two things together that don't exist, and it just creates this thing out of the blue. Yeah, it's not a standard command in most distributions. However, there are other ways to check the. Okay, so maybe just based on this distribution that you have. I guess we could safely say it's a lot easier to get this working on Windows.
Oh, Lon, don't get him started on Windows.
To be fair, I didn't get it working on my Mac either, so.
I just upgraded my 2013 Mac Pro at work to Sonoma.
You muting my mic.
Which is working really well.
I've been holding out.
I follow a guy on YouTube, Jesse's Flying, and I'm using the Open Core Patcher, which has worked quite well on the 2013, the trash can Mac.
Okay, yep.
And I have a 2012 Mac Pro here that's mine, and she's up to Monterey. But I quit using it and moved over to Windows exclusively about 6 months ago, and now I'm like, I kind of want to go back to my Mac, but...
So you do what I do. You just have a computer for each purpose.
I know, dude. I do. I have an M2 Mac behind me. Okay. It's just, I need more desk space. I need more. Yeah. I'm trying to get my wife to move some of her crap out of the house, and that hasn't really worked out for me yet.
You know what I use more than anything is this MacBook Air M2. This thing, I get so much use out of this thing. It's crazy.
Well, they had a sale on M2s, on the Mac Mini M2 Pro, and I jumped on it. And it actually is great. It's probably faster than my Mac Pro. And I just not set up to use two computers at this one desk, which drives me nuts, and I need to fix that.
You know what you should look at is these little mini PCs. I've been reviewing a bunch of them. In fact, my ham shack is running off of one right now, and they're so tiny. They don't take up a lot of room, and they're incredibly powerful. I just reviewed this, so I can't reach it at the moment, but it's this B-Link Sur 7. It's got like a Ryzen 790,
Ryzen 7,
whatever. It's like it. Yeah, this thing is insane. It was running like Red Dead Redemption 2 at 45 frames per second at like 1080p. I mean, the thing was cranking away at 720p. But for this kind of stuff where you're just running, it's got a lot of, has 32 gigs of RAM, and I think 8 or 10 cores on the processor, and you can just throw so much stuff at it, and nothing slows it down. It just keeps. It just says,
I've got a Minis Forum. .com. I got a DMAF a couple 3 years ago, and it works great. It's this one I built, this Windows machine I built so I could play Flight Simulator on it. So it's kind of purpose built, but it's now my primary system. And the Minis Forum's just kind of sitting in the den, feeling sad and dusty next to the Mac Pro. But
that's what happened to my little one over there until I started setting up the ham shack, and now it's kind of my go-to.
Right.
And I've got my RTL SDR plugged into it, so I have it doing some SDR stuff in addition to my other stuff on the transmit side. So it's pretty versatile because you can it's got so much RAM. I can just throw so much at it, and it just keeps going.
Doc.
Will
Doc
it go longer than the D-Star episode?
Doc Brad, thank you, brother. Let me.
I can do a recap though if people are just coming in. Do you want me to do that while you're poking around there?
Hang on 1 second,
but
Lon.
after this. Thank you, Brad.
Doc. Appreciate it. I saw. Ham Till It Hurts said, when on Windows, if you're having issues, make sure you run Sound Modem and EasyTerm as administrator. Have that issue also.
Yeah.
So did you run it as did it prompt you for admin, Lon, or did you just right click and run it as admin? Steve's on Pi, so.
You know, I don't. I mean, I know on mine I just click it and run it, so I'm not on admin for either one.
Okay.
And I don't even remember when I installed it. It's been so long.
So let's do Alt. Let's just try it real quick. Okay.
We have several of the people that are regulars in the chat that are invested in the B-Link stuff, the B-Link PCs. And I've looked at several of them. I'm like, no, I don't need any more computers in this house. I'm good. I feel bad when I don't use them every day. And right now the stack of computers I don't use is getting longer and longer.
Well, it's funny. When I was a kid, like, you know, how many computers could you afford, right? Like we had one computer for the whole house, and that thing cost a fortune.
I bought my first Tandy 1000 in '86, and it was like almost $1,000, I think, with the green screen monitor, floppy drive, almost no memory, no hard drive.
And I remember I bought I had the Apple IIc for many years, and then I went from that to the 2GS that's behind me. That's the actual 2GS I used to use, so that thing has some heritage with me. And then I had that from like probably about 2 or 3 years, and then I got the 386. But even then, like, you know, getting more computers was not feasible, because to get the current computer, so now like a computer is good for 10, 15 years. You can still use it for something. But back then, like, you know, the difference between a 386 and that was there was a huge gulf. So the Apple IIs became kind of like dumb terminals around the house. But even then, they weren't so great because they didn't do all the ANSI color and stuff that the bulletin board systems required. So it just lacked a lot of that utility. But now it's crazy. Like everything just lasts forever. I mean, as long as it keeps working. I
have people ask me, I want to upgrade my PC. What do I need to get? And I'm like, throw it in the garbage and go buy the cheapest one that Best Buy sells and honestly, for what a lot of people do, us nerds excluded, for what a lot of people do, honestly, are they going to do, you know, a little bit of surfing, a little bit of email, a little bit of Facebook? And then you've done a number of videos, I know, on Chromebooks, and I've got a couple here too that are sad and lonely.
I just uploaded a Chromebook video tonight, as a matter of fact.
Yes, you did. I saw that I haven't watched it yet, but the Chromebook Plus, I think, is what you called it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, that's what I got my daughter for Christmas for school, is she got a snazzy Chromebook last year. Yeah.
I got my mom a Chromebook, and it's been, because you know what? I don't get calls about it.
Exactly right, my friend. That's right.
And, you know, it's funny. They just had, they rolled out Chromebook Plus. They had a press call for us to call in and learn about it. And I was very nervous, though, because what they said is that they put it in a slide. Chrome OS has never had a virus. I'm like, ooh, you guys are asking for it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Mac says that all the time, though.
Right. No, I know. They're like, we're the only operating system that's never had a virus. Like, just be careful what you wish for, because, and how do you define virus anymore, right? Like, have you had vulnerabilities? Maybe. But it's crazy just how ubiquitous PC technology is. And the Raspberry Pi, like when it came out, the new Pi 5 is now, $80 or whatever, but the original Pi was $35.
Yeah. Was that the 4 gig that was $35, or was it a 2?
Oh, back then it was like, it wasn't even. I think it was 1 gig.
1 gig, maybe. I probably got
512.
one somewhere.
Yeah, I have one also. Well, I had one. I had like a whole pile of them, and I I'm kicking myself because I sold them because I wasn't using them. And now I wish I still had them all because I just have a Pi 4, a Pi is the board, and I have the 400, and that's it. And then obviously you couldn't get one for a while. And so, so like they had like back 10 years ago, $35 computer, and that thing was a full-on Unix server. Like you could, it was as capable as the stuff I logged into in the early 90s, right? So that was awesome. Ethernet, the whole nine. And the Pi Zero, I think is what it was. That's the one that they were selling for $10.
Yep.
Really? It's a computer.
And when it came out, the 02W, which is the speed of a 3B, was listed for $15. I bought several of them from Chicago electronics distributors.
And talk about Chromebooks. I bought my daughter a Lenovo Chromebook for $99.
Yeah.
Full on laptop, $99. Insane.
I got Chromebooks for us. Woot, I think, had some kind of Chromebook sale going on 4 or 5, 6 years ago. They were like $200. This is a while back. They were like $200, 4 gig Celeron processor, and 16 or 32 gigs of MMC. And they were $200. It came with a cell modem, and T-Mobile was throwing in free data for life when you got them. It was like 300 meg a month or something. But yeah, they still run fine, and for what they're good for, they'll probably run for the next 100 years.
And then when you run like the reverse inflation calculator on it, right? So the $99 Chromebook in today's dollars was, so $99 in 2023 is the equivalent of $33 back in 1984.
Yeah.
And what did an Apple II cost with 128K of RAM? $5,000.
Yeah.
That's what we paid for our Apple II. My father had to take a loan out from the bank to buy the Apple computer for his business.
I might have done that from the credit union. I was in the Air Force when I got the Tandy 1000. I might have gone to the credit union for a loan for that one.
Yeah, you had to, right? So
my senior year in high school, we got 2 Apple IICs.
Okay.
So I think that's the model, 1980, whatever. Might just be Apple IIs.
Yeah, it was probably an Apple II in 80. I think the 2E came out in like 82, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And the school only had 2. My high school had 2 computers. And so that's been a minute.
I remember I got into kindergarten in 81. So I think we got computers in the school in 82. And the reason why I say that is because between kindergarten and first grade, I took a computer camp for a week on these Texas Instrument, the TI-99.
The 99.4A.
Yep, 99.4A. And we had 2 different things that we learned. I couldn't even read yet. We learned logo with the turtle.
Yep.
And we learned sprites, where you make graphics. And I was the youngest kid in the class by far, but I was into it. I was all in. I didn't have a computer at home at that point. Like that was how I got introduced to computers, was this computer camp. Because my mom knew I was into it, and she dropped me off there. I think she just wanted to get rid of me in the summer for a week, right? And I was like, I came out of there like, I need to have a computer at home. And some of the kids that were there were like, 12 or 13. They all had computers at home. I had nothing. And I don't know how they found out at school that I went to this camp, but I remember getting called out of class and brought down to the library, where the librarian had a computer sitting there. She didn't know what to do with it. Apparently the school board authorized buying computers for every classroom in the school. So they had an Apple IIe in every classroom by 1982. And nobody knew how to use the darn thing.
Nobody knew what to do with it, right?
Nobody knew what to do with it. So I still remember this to this day. She brought me over there and she said, "Can you show me something you can do with the computer?" And I said, "All right, well, show me the discs that you have." So she showed me this, and then I saw, because by then I could read, there was a disc that said logo. I said, "Oh, I know what logo is." And it was a different computer than what I had learned on, but I said, "Put that in and let's see what happens." So she puts the disc in, and up comes the turtle. And I said, "Type FD5," and that would move the turtle forward 5 pixels or whatever. And it actually did it. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, you know how to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, now do RT this and da 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 da." It was kind of funny. I was like, "Oh, I kind of have a knack for this computer stuff." Yeah, so we the kids kind of drove the teachers insofar as what we should be doing on the computer.
Oh yeah.
And
When I was in high school, my senior year of high school, when you were in kindergarten,
mhm.
oh my God. Um,
Hey, you know what?
this
We're all graying now, so it's good. We're
right.
on equal footing.
The school had gotten those two Apple IIs. And I had a friend who was a couple years ahead of me, and he was out at the community college taking programming classes. So he was in, RPG, Fortran, COBOL, all that kind of stuff. That was the IT classes in 1980. Was mostly business programming stuff. And I had said casually to him one time, I'm kind of interested in this computer stuff. What all can it do? So I would go out to school on his class nights, and he would let me log in his account. I had no idea what I was doing. This is on a DEC 11 PDP 1170. Taught
Okay.
myself BASIC. You
Yep.
could copy the game files over from the master games account to your local account, and then you could modify them. So I taught myself
That's
BASIC by modifying programs.
That must have been like
So,
magical back then.
dude,
That's
it
what we all
was, and
do.
it smelled like IT. I loved that smell of that computer lab.
Yeah, right. No, it had a smell, didn't it?
So one night I'm out there farting around on the computer, doing whatever, mostly playing Advent or Star Trek. And my physics teacher from high school, I'm still in high school, I'm a senior, is in there, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" Now, at the time, I'm getting like a C at best in physics because it's a little more math than I'm good with,
Mm-hmm.
but my labs are great. And he's like, "What are you doing here? Why are you wasting your time? You need to be studying physics." And I'm like, "Well, Mr. Bruin." And so then he invited me to come play with the Apple II that had been sitting in his classroom gathering dust since he got it like a couple months before, and he was going to be teaching the computer class the next year. So I went from the black sheep of the physics class to the teacher's pet because I could, like you, stick in the disk and, I know what to do here. And it was
Right,
all
your computer
basic,
work.
right?
Yeah.
Start monkeying with stuff, and it worked. And I figured out, like you, this is my jam.
Yeah. I'm
So it was
into it.
great. Lon, K0WAV has got his BBS
Yes.
stuff up.
I see that.
We've been
So
telling old man stories, sorry.
so let's see if I can connect to him. Let's see if he's got one running right now. So KC, I will put my screen up here in a second for you. K0WAV.
Rob Wright, the smell of green bar and ozone.
That's right. Oh, I'm connected to him. Here we go. All right, so if you want to, I'll put my
You're
screen up
zoomed
here,
in, yeah.
Yep, there we go. So we're connected to his station now. I'm not even sure where he's located.
Let me see if
But
I
a couple
can figure
things
that out.
a couple things we can look at here. So if I type in mHeard here, what we'll get are all the stations that his system has heard. So what you're seeing here now is I typed
He's in Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay, so that was, and I'm in Connecticut. So this gives you an idea as to how far we can go here. And he's got the whole package here, the BPQ packet node. So he's got the ability to run a BBS. As you saw, there's a menu there: BBS, buy, chat, connect. And what I did here is I said, hey, send me a list of stations that you've heard. And why this is useful is because if I'm trying to connect to somebody who I can't connect directly, I can connect through this node. And what you're also witnessing here is how long it takes to get any amount of useful information out of it. As we were talking about before, sometimes on HF things go in and out, right? So sometimes you get like a super fast connection like we had here when I first connected. And now we're gonna have to wait for all this back and forth. Because in packet, everything that is sent has to be acknowledged, as far as I know. So APRS doesn't work that way. You just kind of put it out in the ether, right? When you have a packet connection like this, there needs to be an acknowledgement. So there we go. So it looks like I got, oh, I see. So he's telling me how I have to connect. So I did the wrong thing here. So if I connected to -1, that's his BBS. -7 is his net ROM switch, whatever that is. And then 11 is the chat. Let me do this again here. Let's see if I type in BBS, what happens. Still connected to him. But what's so cool about this is that, this text was generated on a computer in Arkansas and sent over the air to me in Connecticut. No internet. Like you see a screen like this, often it's like a secure shell or telnet, but this is not that. This is station to station, digital over HF. And if you want to explore packet over HF and you go to 14105 LSB, you're in it, and you'll find a bunch of these systems that you can communicate with. So what we're gonna do? Why don't we try to connect to his BBS? Because we had a really good connection before. So I'm just gonna do a quick copy and paste here.
Chris Bricker. I might have been asked to get off the internet because my mom needs to use the phone.
Yep, that happened to me. Actually, what happened in my house, they just pick up the phone. They didn't care.
Right.
And then you lose hours and hours of a download.
And drop AOL. Or CompuServe. For me, it was CompuServe.
That was it. All right,
neither of those were reachable by my house. That was a long distance call.
Oh, yeah, for me too. For me too. Actually,
I had to go through the local BBS instead.
Genie was local to me, but it was like $7 an hour, even at night.
Do you guys remember, what was it called? Oh, man. It was an X25 network that had local pops all over the country, local phone dial-ins. So you would dial into PC Pursuit. That's the name of it. So you would dial into one of a local phone bank of numbers, and it was in every quasi-major city. It was even here in Montgomery. And so you would dial in with your modem, and then it put you on an X25 node, and then you could say connect to Denver, which would be to connect Coden, Colorado, Denver. And then once you got to Denver, then you could dial out from the Denver node over over the POTS line and talk to local BBSs. So I was that was all over X25. PC Pursuit. It was like $25 a month. So I'm sitting here in Montgomery and I'm talking to BBSs in Milwaukee and Chicago and Atlanta and Denver and everywhere else, downloading, everything I could find to download at the time. And before any of you ask, it might have been porn available also that way. I'm just saying.
Plead the fifth. So we are connected to his BBS now. And so what it's asking me for right now is my name. So I'm going to type in my name here. And I'm going to transmit LAN from here to Arkansas. And the next time I log in, it's going to know that that's my name. But because this is amateur radio, none of this obviously is encrypted. And so there's no passwords. So it's on the honor system based on your call sign. So the next time I connect to here, it's going to remember that I provided my name last time, and it'll know who I am. This is actually a really good connection, one of the better ones I've had, believe it or not.
Good.
So what it's telling me here is saying, hello, Lon. Latest message is 18,291, which means he's got 18,000 messages. But again, these are all transmitted from bulletin board to bulletin board. And I could also do my QTH here. So I can say QTH Connecticut. You can see that at DEK0WAV, that is basically his system telling me that he's awaiting a command. So I'm going to give him a command. And this is going to record on his system my QTH. And we'll wait for that acknowledgement.
Jody said they had a Canadian version of that called DataPack. Yep. And yes, Vern, it was a lot of FidoNet BBSs back in the day.
Yep. I was a FidoNet node for a long time.
I had Quick BBS.
I used to run mine on Maximus. That was my my system. Now you'll notice here that we had a couple of retries. So you see it said Connecticut, because his system was not acknowledging the receipt of that packet. But there's also some activity on the band. Sometimes you have a collision. But you can see now that it's received that, so we're good. Now what I could do here, I think I type help. And this will give us the full list of commands, because you see, it doesn't give you a list of commands, and the reason is that this
figured
is
it
so
out.
slow. Oh, you got it?
Oh my God!
I'm getting warmer.
Jazz
Okay.
hands.
Getting
Are we
warmer.
ready for jazz hands or not?
I don't know. Maybe.
George,
I'm
Procom
connected.
Plus and Telex. Telex was the one I used most. I remember that.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the fun stuff about what we do in IT. I got one step closer to the let's switch views to that one.
I'm trying. You're clicking too. Okay, go ahead.
I had to find it. I hadn't clicked anything yet. I got one step closer. So what I did was, let's exit out of here. I got to get back to that screen. I moved my direwolf config to root. I ran direwolf as root, which changed all my ports around. Because what I was getting before is this error where kisattach running as me, as sudo, can't connect to the port that we proved that I owned before. So I try to run this as myself. Where's that line? There's a... Yeah, I can't find that line right now. Okay, right here. This is the one. I try to run it as myself, kisattach temp kistnc1, and it gives me this error that says operation not permitted. So I'm running it as myself, trying to connect to a device that I own and a config that I have created. And then that didn't work. So I tried to run it as sudo, and it says permission denied. Why would root not be able to act like that's anti-root type stuff? So then I checked the permissions on the temp kistnc file, and I found out that, like we thought, I owned it, and it's a symlink, which points to PTS2. So I checked the permissions on PTS2, and hey, I own that also. And so what I did was I rearranged everything in the other window over here for direwolf. I moved my direwolf config to root's home directory, and then I ran direwolf as root, and now I can run sudo kisattach temp kistnc, which is, running the command as root, and it says, hey, AX25 port 1 bound to device AX0. And maybe if I do this, it'll even show me an interface. Yep, AX0. So this is not a network interface with an IP address. It's got my call sign in it instead. So now if I run Linpac, I'm getting even closer, and I don't get any errors when I connect. This is all stuff from previous connections. And then we're right in here, and there's no error messages down below. So let's try and connect :C K0WAV-7, and I put the wrong 0 in there. WAV. I mean, this is IT. We've gotten to one error message closer. Oh wait! It actually PTT'd.
Wait. Ooh.
Oh, sweet Christmas!
Let me see if I can put you up on the air here.
There we go. I tried. I'm trying again.
Boys, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Uh-oh. All right, before we try anything else, we got it working. Good night, everybody. Have a great day. See you later. Bye. No, I'm kidding.
So I'm just looking to see if I see you in my... and I don't see you on my...
Mike is hogging the server. Mike's hogging all the airwaves. Mike! Shut up, Mike.
Yeah. Why don't you try connecting to me real quick, see if that works.
Sure. You are :C. What's your call sign again?
KC1 RGS, Romeo Golf Sierra.
And no SSID?
Yeah, I think if you just do that, we'll connect direct.
Channel already connected, so I have to close that connection first?
Oh yeah, you could also, I think you might be able to select the other, so if you go to like number 2 on the bottom there.
Is it going to be mouse enabled?
It should be.
It didn't. Oh, nope. That's why.
Yes, I don't think I'm picking
I just
you up
tried to
here.
send a message. No, I just sent my first connection attempt to you.
Okay. Let's see if I pick it up.
And my second one's coming through now. And I'm putting out a massive 10 watts.
You give it a little bit more power. See if that helps. Or can you?
I'm giving her all I got. Hamstick
try
Eric in the
40
chat.
meters.
We're going from offline to online.
I'm seeing a little bit on my waterfall, but not enough for my software to pull you out of the noise there. What we could do is maybe go to 40 meter and see if that works.
What is the frequency on 40 meters?
So the 40 meter frequency is 7104 LSB. Let me just disconnect from my
7104?
bulletin board system here. 7104.
7104.
And I got to switch over there in 1 second. I just got to get off my bulletin board system here. So let's let that disconnect here.
I'm on LSBD. I need to run my tuner on that. So before I do that.
I'm just trying to
And we're in
disconnect. I'm trying to be
tune.
polite and disconnect properly from K0WAV here. Just imagine how hard it was back then when everything needed hardware as opposed to all the software. Maybe it was easier. I don't know. At least you had like something physical that you could fiddle with.
Smack.
Right? Yeah, smack, fiddle with, whatever needed to be done. All right, there we go. So let's go to 7104 LSB. And
I'm already
send
calling
out
you.
my beacon. Okay, let's see. I'm not getting you yet. Let me know if you can hear my. I'm going to push out a beacon real quick.
Go ahead.
And I don't know if you see my beacon at all.
No, I'm not. Somebody else is doing some. I guess it's WinLink.
There might be some
I'm getting
collision on that too. Yeah. That could be me, actually. I don't know.
And then I just sent you another packet, I think.
All right.
And you and I don't have to be on 7104. We can QSY to another frequency.
That's right. Yeah, tell me which one you want to try it on. We can try any frequency you'd like.
Let's go up 3. 7104 plus 3 is 7107. Let's try 7107.
All right. Okay, I'm on 7107. LSB, right?
Yes. All I did was change the dial. And it's already trying to be connected. I think I have to wait for it to try one more time.
Yeah.
All right. Something just happened. I just sent you a packet.
Let's see. I am not reading. Oh, I see something in the waterfall, but I'm not decoding it. And by the way, this is another area where this is a little different than FT8, where you can often work miracles and pick stuff out of nothing. Here you need.
Thanks, Mike.
You almost need an audible signal.
Yeah, Ghost Man, lower sideband.
Yeah, I'll push out a beacon
Set.
if you pick this up.
I'm trying. Quit clicking, son. That is old school. Is that frame relay? Is that might be X25? I don't remember. I'm fuzzy on all this.
Mike, I did not hear you on 7107. And I just sent out another beacon. Did you get it, Lon?
I did not, and I'll beacon back to you, see if you can pick me up at all. Because we were picking each other. You were picking me up earlier, right?
Yeah. I was watching you talk to Scott.
Right.
K0WAV. I've got an S7 noise floor on 40.
I'm not sure. I can't even see mine from over here. I got
I just saw a little tease.
Yeah, I'm a little lower. I'm about S3 here or so.
Now, how close are you to Metro New York area, Lon, in Connecticut? Are you close or on the far end of Connecticut?
Yeah, no, I'm close. I'm like right before the Connecticut River.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good noise for being that close to New York, for example.
Yeah, I do okay around here, surprisingly. About 2 hours away.
So I sent a disconnect. I'm going back to 20 meters.
Okay. So tell me the band you want.
Because I was seeing stuff. 20 meters, and I was seeing stuff on 14105. Let's go up 3 from 14105 to 14108.
Okay.
And then I need to run my tune. All right, 14108. Let's try to connect again.
All right, I just sent out a little beacon for you.
Welcome KG6NLW. Why did it? I guess somebody connected to me. That's Frank.
like
Frank from the chat. Thank you, Frank. I hear you. I don't know what to do now that I hear you, but I hear you.
Well, type something to him. Say hi. I think you can just go into that window down there and just type in whatever you want.
Hello, Frank.
There you go. And I'm not picking up any of this.
So if I go back to my Direwolf window, you can see there's a bunch of stuff from Frank.
Yep. And I'm not reading any of you.
Were you getting him on 7104?
No.
No. And then Frank disconnected. Bye, Frank.
Now Mike is getting both of the conversation, both sides. He's getting you, Steve, and Frank.
Okay.
Michigan Mike.
But they're not seeing me. I'm going to push out another beacon here.
Do it.
Okay, I just did it. Nada.
Nope.
I
don't see you on my...
Up to 50 watts here.
My decoder.
Let me get a 50 watts.
Well, these packets are so small. Go all the way, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go to 100.
Turn it to 11.
Let's crank it up. Yeah, my antenna doesn't like FT8 at this level, but I think I could probably get away with it with these short bursts here.
Yeah, well, you're not transmitting in those long cycles like FT8.
All right, so here we go at 100 watts. My lights are dimming.
The whole neighborhood's going dark.
Yeah, whole neighborhood's going dark.
The blackout rolls on down to New York.
We got Ken decoding everything. He says UA is unnumbered ACK.
Yep. I used to fiddle with this stuff, but that was like the 90s, 94. I haven't messed with X25 since then.
You guys aren't seeing anything I'm sending out. So the propagation has changed.
No. Just like that.
Just like that. What's your call sign?
There are no messages. So Mike connected to Frank. KM9G.
Okay, so let's go KM. Okay, it's going to work, but what the heck? KM9G.
Get to the beacon.
Get to the beacon. I heard that in Arnold's voice when he typed that comment.
Get to the beacon. Is this working, Steve? Mike, I can see it.
Yeah, ALC is going to be something that's going to be critical on this too, because if you're overmodulating this, it's not going to decode worth a crap.
Right, exactly. It's very finicky.
I'm not connected at all to anybody. Mike, try to connect to me.
Frank has lost you, Lon. He doesn't see you at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going to. I'm definitely transmitting.
I don't like the idea of running Direwolf as root, but this is a isolated Raspberry Pi system, so, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Get my nothing?
Right.
Mike says it's linked on his end.
I got about 10 more minutes before I got a jet here. Before people upstairs start looking for me.
My wife doesn't come looking for me anymore. After we closed down the show at 9:30 or 9:45 one night, she's like, "Oh, you're done."
Yeah. You live here?
Yeah. I remember you.
Oh, you again.
Right.
Can you go back and talk to your friends again?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Go back.
Please leave me alone. Go talk to those nerds you hang out with.
Yeah, right. Like I said earlier, this is as nerdy as you can get doing this stuff. I mean, if you thought radio was nerdy, go to try to do packet over HF nerdy. That's like super nerd.
Right.
Well, it's a shame you guys can't see me anymore because you guys were picking me up earlier.
I'm connected to Mike now. It says connected to N8YO.
Yeah. Are you able to chat with him?
Great. Now what? I don't know.
Try to
Am
say
I just
hello
supposed to
again.
chat in this window, or do I need to open another
I think
window?
that's how it
Or
works. Yep. No, just say hello and it'll send it to him. You need to go
is
back
this?
to Direwolf. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, it's working on my end anyway.
Hey, it's good that we didn't end in
Yep.
disaster.
So you can see
here.
it sending.
Right. This is a positive outcome.
Yeah, and you're still on 14108, right?
14108. Yep. All right. Well, we have proven that it works. So now we can chat like it's 1982.
That's it.
Right. You know, you hear your friends, you tell them, so last night, me and a couple of buddies live stream getting packet radio over HF set up. And what do you do with it? Well, you can talk to each other. And then they pull out a cell phone and go, yeah?
So?
It's radio 2, man. Shut up.
I'm just sitting here waiting for Mike to say anything.
I'm going to cycle my software here real quick and see if maybe it's me and not...
He said he still hasn't gotten your hello.
Mike says he...
Yeah. Ham till it hurts,
That's what
right?
happened.
Okay, so I can see you.
Yeah.
Only 2 hours and 5 minutes and we have a win.
Yeah. It should keep sending that hello until it has acknowledgement that it's sent.
That was a question earlier, was what's the retry setup with this? Is it a number of retries or a timer?
Yeah, it's part of the protocol. I forgot how many it is, but it's pretty persistent.
Okay.
Like it's going to keep going for a while until it's satisfied.
And you're hanging in through every minute, Jody.
Jody, yes. That is internet connections in multiple data centers.
Oh, when you say it like that, Jody, it just sounds silly.
Well, we're going to leave on a high note then, and we got it working. We went into a little bit of overtime, and I'm going to blame the reason why Mike can't hear me on 10 watts on my side. But I did get a packet from him. I did connect to him. As you can see on the screen, it says connected to N8YO, and then this green is Mike's message to me, but Mike's not seeing my red messages to him.
What's
Jackson's saying you can set the number of retries, Lon.
Okay. It's probably
Mike's call sign is N8YO.
N8YO.
You were connected to him earlier. Yep.
Yeah, let me try. Let me see if I can get him here. N8Y0 or O.
Oh, Oscar.
Yes. Yep. Let me see if I can. All right, I'm going to try to connect to him right now. Let's see what happens.
And
100 watts.
Frank is saying that Communications and Cigars is live streaming.
I didn't know he even did anymore.
Mike, this was data modes. I thought that we might be able to get away with data modes without an amp, so I didn't bother to set up the amp.
Until I rearrange everything, I can't use my amp on the live stream because it's like I'm sitting next to a spun up 747.
I would say that this particular data mode is probably the one where you need the most amount of power because you almost have to be able to hear it with your ears. Unlike FT8 or JS8 call, it just works. You know, it's like magic. This is far less magical, except when you have a connection. Then it's like, whoa, that's pretty cool. But I am like, must be
we outlasted Crook.
Must be an atmospheric disturbance over my house right now. I'm not getting out to anybody. But before we did successfully.
Rob, Digital Rancher W5ITR says he's going to premiere a video right after us.
Okay.
So head over to Rob's channel as soon as I disconnect here. He's going to connect there.
Well, I would say we had a successful.
Were you able
to learn something new?
Yes. All right, I'm going to take that out, which is going to leave the Three amigos here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It was a fantastic time. Lon, much appreciated having you on board. You're welcome back anytime. And even if you just want to hang out and heckle me like Jim does.
Right.
That's okay. I'll hang out.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm
Well,
going to click the
heck
button
yeah.
now, and we will see you next time.
Awkward time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Go away now.